Film actress in trouble with the law again after being arrested for disorderly conduct. Now, when I was first looking into the story, I was like, okay, here we go. We have another situation where we have a celebrity who basically ran amok and then got in big trouble and everything else. We see this happening a lot, but this story is really depressing, dark, and it really shines a light on a lot of other horrible things that are happening in Hollywood that we all are aware of, that we want to see changed and brought to justice and light and everything else. And we're going to get into this because this is crazy, man. This whole story is just, it's nuts. So let's get right into it and see what is going on here. Disney voice star Irene Bedard is reportedly in trouble with the law again after being arrested in Xenia, Ohio for disorderly conduct on August 19. The 55-year-old actress, known for her work in such movies as Pocahontas and Ralph Breaks the Internet, reportedly got into an argument with another woman before Bedard walked out into the street screaming without any regard for traffic. And then they continue on in the report with the police division. As Bedard spoke, there was a strong odor of an alcoholic beverage on her breath. When asked if she drank anything today, she said that she didn't, but she did say that she drank a whole bottle of vodka yesterday. The officer wrote that they attempted to try to get her to give them a name of someone who could come and care for her, but she refused. The report also said police offered to take her to the hospital, but the star said the hospital wouldn't help her. When I started to actually dig into her story and everything else, it started to really, like I said, it really started to bring to light a lot of the horrible things that have happened to her while she was in Hollywood that is something that we continue to see happening in Hollywood. I didn't really know anything about this story until I started to look into it. Maybe some of you already are aware of this, but basically she was just on the cusp of an incredible, promising career as this actress, and then she married this person who basically completely just ruined her life. Now, this isn't even coming from her, it's coming from her family, who spoke up for her and told about a lot of the terrible things that happened to her. So this wasn't even like some sort of weird Me Too type of situation or anything like that. It was something that actually happened to her that was talked about by her family. Bedard suffered in silence for almost 20 years before fleeing the situation for the sake of her son. Although Bedard hasn't spoken out personally about the trauma that she suffered, her family has told her story to raise awareness of how this can happen to anyone. Irene moved to Alaska in an attempt to flee a horrific situation that she was obviously in. For 17 years, she suffered all sorts of terrible things that happened to her. And it continues on. It talks about, her experiences with all of that and how she was trying to get out of that situation for her son and everything else. Although she has made over 30 movies in her career, the letter went on to detail how Bedard's husband seriously stunted her promising career with his controlling behavior. And it just goes on and on and on. Like, this whole story is just crazy, man. Sadly, due to errors made during the trial, Irene was still not safe after demonstrating enormous bravery by standing up in front of her abuser in court. So, when I first saw the story, I was like, okay, this is just another story of another celebrity who is, obviously having troubles, which is true, she is, but a lot of that comes from the terrible things that happened to her while she was in Hollywood. And like I said, we see stories like this happening all the time. I try to cover these stories when I can. Whenever I see these stories pop up of these terrible things that are happening to, especially to young women and stuff like that, who are taken advantage of while they're in Hollywood, there's no moral semblance in Hollywood whatsoever. It's just totally corrupt, and it's just a terrible place. It's just so dark. And these are the things that are happening there all the time. Yet they want us to continue to look to them as the moral beacons for our culture and everything else. And unfortunately, they do have a huge impact on the moral direction that our country is going. A lot of people still don't realize that, but they continue to listen to these people. They continue to put them on these pedestals and say that these people are amazing, that we should continue to give them our money and give them all of our trust and everything else. And that is not at all what we should be doing. And not only did Wilson abuse Bedard, but also controlled her career and money. In a letter written by Bedard's niece, she shared that Irene was only allowed to work for films and shows which were favorable to Wilson, and without his permission, Bedard wasn't accepting any roles. Additionally, a lot of the times, the scars and marks of the wounds left by Wilson's constant, terrible stuff were visible to the people as she worked at her work, that it often led her to be disbanded from the role since the filmmakers didn't allow her to work with bruises on her body, and it just goes on and on and on. So obviously, part of it, it's not all on him. Obviously, some of the responsibility falls on her as well. these people want to continue to pretend that they really are just putting out all these positive family films that we should continue to look to and everything else. These people don't know how to make a functioning family. They don't. They continue to fall apart, and they want everyone to be in that same situation as they are, where the entire situation is just so broken, and they want the entire country to be in that same place. With that being said, let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Leave a like, subscribe. I'd appreciate that a lot, and I'll talk to you all in another video very soon.